All right, stylist, you know the drill. You have a client, they come back, or you get the hey girl text and they're like, yo, like my extensions are matting up really bad. They're crawling. What does crawling mean? Now, I have some just like extra wefts I have. Crawling essentially means when you're going through and this almost starts looking like this. This is crawling on extensions. Now, obviously, I'm forcing it, but sometimes, honestly, extensions do this naturally. So why the fuck does this even happen? So why exactly does protein kind of create that crawling and extensions? Well, look, protein and keratin for natural hair is actually really fucking great. It's amazing. And in moderation, it really does kind of like strengthen a weak strand, right? But for extensions actually cannot absorb that keratin or protein. So because it can't be absorbed, the hair starts to become almost like rigid instead of flexible. It starts to lose that elasticity and it does not move naturally anymore. And because now all of that keratin and protein is sitting on top of that hair strand, that means that that hair literally can no longer absorb moisture and it gets dry and dry and dry. And then all of a sudden it starts to creep and starts creating even more of that tangling. That is why keratin and protein, although it seems like a really great idea, is actually detrimental to extensions. Okay, so the $1 million question is, if you have a client that has been using a protein or keratin-based product, and all of a sudden they have that creepy crawly and they're like, bitch, what do I do? How do we fix it? The hard reality is that sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's literally like the fibers of the hair have changed so much that now they're just brittle and they're coated and they're just a little more like rigid at the core. And sometimes you really can't undo that. Here is what you can do though. First off, number one, you have to stop using all protein-based products immediately, especially things that say like repair, rebuild, bond, strengthen. Fucking absolutely not. And also be aware that sometimes things that are like tons of moisture, they actually still include keratin in there. You need to check your labels. And if you are unsure, take a picture of the back and put it in ChatGPT. I'm gonna say that 10,000 times over. Like, keep doing it. Second thing you need to do is you need to now clarify the wefts. It's gonna probably feel more dry. It's gonna be a little bit rough, but a clarifying shampoo or even something like Malibu to remove that product buildup, you don't need like a harsh detox. That can also make it more dry. And obviously we're gonna have to add in a lot of moisture after, but you just need something that's going to take all of that protein off. And now here is where you need to drench it in moisture. Like you need to bomb those motherfuckers with moisture, making sure that it is not something with keratin or protein though. We're talking only moisture here. It needs to be deep conditioned with something moisture free. And you really, I say leave it on there for just a minute, not a literal minute, please, come on, we know, but like leave it on there, brush it in, let it really soak in. And I will say this, when you rinse it, only cold water. As stylists, we know that whenever you're going through, if you use hot water, that opens up the hair shaft, and when you use cold, it like shrinks it and closes it back up. We want to close that hair back up. So just really be sure that like cold water, and I rinse with cold. Now from there, you might need to trim it a little bit. You're gonna have to see whenever you blow dry. Also be sure to use a thermal protectant, and then don't use crazy high heat. It's just not something that's necessary. But then you're gonna have to make the decision, can this be fixed or does it need to be replaced? Many times, like, yeah, y'all, it's the end of the life. That's it. You really can't use it anymore. You're kind of fucked. But you can put it back in the client and try it out. But if they come back and they're like, hey, yo, it's still creepy, it's still crawling, the hair's fucked. There's nothing you can do. So now I'm sure right now you're sitting there and you're like, Ani, you're ruining my life and you're not helping me. Oh, I'm gonna help you. Here are the top 3 protein ingredients that really should be avoided on extensions. Number 1 is obviously keratin. I know that this sounds super helpful, but I'm telling you right now, it absolutely is not. It is going to make your extensions creep and crawl and feel like shit. Number 2, hydrolyzed wheat protein. Once again, it sounds really great. And on our hair, yes, it can actually penetrate the cuticle and it can like make it feel really nice, but too much on extensions actually causes them to feel very like dry and crunchy. And now we're back to it's ruining your extensions. And this, I will say, tends to show up a lot in like repair shampoos and conditioners. And the last one is silk proteins. Now I know these sound fancy, they sound very luxurious, I get it, but they actually can, once again, very much so, dry wefts out over time. Now this is something that in all of my extension classes we talk about, and every time they're like, uh-oh, let me go check our favorite masks. A lot of masks that I've seen do have some kind of protein or keratin in there, and that's what makes our hair feel good, and that's great for the client's real hair, but that's just not gonna work for extensions. And the biggest thing that I really want you to watch out for is that, like I said, a lot of moisture-based products. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Moisture, Ani said moisture, the bottle says moisture, I'm gonna grab it, moisture, I did the deed. Many of them still contain protein or keratin. That is one of those things where I say you need to check the label. And if you're unsure, put that shit in ChatGPT, do what you gotta do, double check with your distributors, whatever it is, just make sure someone is incredibly knowledgeable, because you would be surprised by the things that you're like, this is great. And then once you start reading the label, you're like, fuck. Cool. Now, if you're sitting there honestly like shitting your pants right now, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Look, will using a product that has protein or keratin one time completely destroy and demolish your extensions? No, it's not gonna do that. But with repeated use, will it? Absolutely it will, which is where you just need to pay attention. And if your client is having any kind of like creeping and crawling, or they're saying that it's feeling really dry and they're not sure why, just have them, even if they just take a picture of the back of every single product that they're using and send it to you so you can double check it, you might then start to realize like, oh shit, like this is actually the problem. This is one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about my hairline, morning hair, actually being processed low and slow. Because something that a lot of factories can and will potentially do is they will go through and they process hair very fucking fast. And stylists, we're talking about using 40 volume versus 10. They're both gonna get you to the end result, but one is going to eat the hair up. It's gonna trash that motherfucker and you know it. And with morning hair, we don't do that. We're like the 10 volume girlies. Like we're going low and slow, because then at that point, sometimes what they do is they'll take what's it called, like synthetic silk. And essentially they will literally, it's almost like a coating, which is not the same as silicone, which I know always goes on top of hair, but it makes it feel so soft and so smooth and so slippery. It feels so nice. But the problem is once that shit washes off, you're left with trash. So also be aware, sometimes it's not that the client was actually going through and using a product that had protein or keratin in it. Sometimes that's actually already been added to the top of extensions because they processed it so quickly in order to have more product, which I get. Being sold out fucking sucks. It's rough. But to me, it's better to be sold out and have a product that can last longer, because it doesn't need all of those either heavy silicones or things like a synthetic silk like protein on top of the extensions to actually have it feel soft.